Hello there, and welcome back to the AgostinhoZinga show, episode number 686. Today is a special, very, very, very special live stream that I'll be doing and podcast courtesy of Louis Vuitton. No, not courtesy. No, I'm actually just watching it on YouTube like everybody else. But it is Pharrell Williams' big debut over there at Louis Vuitton Men's. So I'll be live streaming some of the show while I record the podcast at the same time. So that should be good to check out. I'll also be going over and checking over some of the recent articles featuring Pharrell Williams, courtesy of New York Times and Vogue.com, where he spoke a little bit about his inspiration, his approach to the work and whatnot. And I'll be obviously, opining with some of my expectations for the show itself. So it should be a pretty decent one. So strap in and get ready for that one. The show itself is meant to be coming on in the next few minutes. I think courtesy of the timer here on YouTube, it says 22 minutes. But if you know anything about fashion shows, then you'll know that they're always late. They're probably as late as I am when I do live streams and stuff. So it says 22 minutes, but it's very unlikely it's going to be streamed on time. So we're going to be just checking in and waiting for it when it does appear. And then, of course, we'll be, dissecting it, talking about it, and seeing what Pharrell was able to produce on there, because it's as big as opportunity is for him. There's also a lot of pressure on this, especially considering the shoes he's going to fill, especially considering the fact that he doesn't have much experience. So he's going to really need to come out of the gates running here. But according to what I've read so far in the New York Times and Vogue article, he's got the right people around him. He's got the right attitude around this whole stuff. And essentially, his whole entire life's work has been being swaggy, dressing well, being into cool, interesting stuff. So even if he hasn't got traditional design experience, he should be more than capable, with the help of a atelier and an amazing studio. He should be able to put together a coherent project, a coherent collection, season in, season out, with the assistance that he should have out there over at Louis Vuitton. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he does a good job. But yeah, before we get into that one, let's just cover some quick news that I've obviously seen online that I wanted to kind of update some of you guys here on the pod. First things first is that I'm a little bit nervous and getting a little bit agitated when it comes to the Man United sale. There has been no news, no concrete kind of news to kind of get us over the line. It seems like, for the most part, the Glazers are doing this thing where they're essentially trying to dictate the narrative of them leaving United, or how they're going to leave, until the very bitter end. I would have assumed, considering all the bad press they've had, considering how fraught their tenure has been, that they would go out their way to try their best to just get the fuck out of the club. But essentially, they're hanging on for dear life and essentially trying to take us to the right until the end, until they decide to kind of finally let it go to new owners. At the moment, I'm obviously still preferring that we have flipping Sheikh Jassim as our new owner, because he's willing to take the club over 100%. There'll be no need for a partial ownership, and it'll be a good change in direction. And the fact that he wants to maybe have a better sporting project in mind that will maybe prioritize us winning trophies as opposed to finishing top four, that's obviously something that we need, which I think will then breed a culture of accountability in that club, because we've not had that for a long time. We've had players essentially getting away with murder for the longest period of time, because for whatever reason, Glazers have this weird way of looking at players where they see them as value propositions. So they lock them down in contracts if they don't play well, under the proviso that if you put a player in a longer contract, when another club comes in to try to purchase them, it means they'll have to pay more to get them out of that contract. So it's a very bizarre way to approach transfers and player, retention and sale and stuff, but whatever. That's how they do business. So I'm hoping with Sheikh Jassim, or whoever does end up taking over United in terms of full ownership, they have a little bit more of a cutthroat approach to football, to running a football club, and also making sure that we are competing on all levels. Because at the moment, my main worry isn't even just how poorly run we are. My main worry is about the clubs in and around us who are essentially taking all the right steps in order to kind of get them to the next level. The likes of Aston Villa, the likes of Newcastle, of course, doing bits. Arsenal came into a hair's length of winning the Premier League with a very experienced team and a very inexperienced manager, so they're probably going to come back stronger. Liverpool finished the season pretty well. Chelsea had a blip of a season, so there's a lot of teams in the Premier League that are kind of doing bits and kind of getting on their way. There is no guarantee that we're going to finish where we finished last season next season. So we need we need the ownership shit to be sorted out ASAP in order for us to get over the line. In my humble opinion, we need that stuff to be sorted out ASAP. So I really am hoping that happens sooner rather than later. I really am hoping that happens sooner rather than later. Then another thing to quickly mention I thought would be funny to see. Have you ever seen all the stuff happening with Joe Rogan and this flipping doctor called, what's his name, Peter Hotez? It's been pretty wild to see, because for the most part, Rogan never really replies to anybody online. He rarely goes back and forth with people. And he's probably the only person that I legitimately believe, a prominent person out there who says, oh, I don't read comments. I legitimately believe that he doesn't, because if you have heard or seen the way comedians react to Rogan, how they jump over the flipping table to suck him off at every given opportunity, how some people, especially the Brian Cans, Brendan Schaubs of this world, they go on their own podcast and they suck him off. So you can only imagine how it must be with strangers. So I wouldn't be surprised if Rogan does go out of his way to protect his energies and to make sure that he kind of avoids coming into contact with people that are going to either suck him dry or just engage him in nonsensical conversations. So when he does say he doesn't read comments, I'm definitely one person that kind of believes him. But for some reason, I guess the COVID thing, the vaccination thing is something that's still having a grip on Americans to this day. Anti-vaxxers are still a thing, which is odd, because I would have thought anti-vaxxers would have kind of died out because we've all kind of gone back to living our normal lives. But I guess the anti-vaxxer community are very, are very active over the United States. And Rogan and this guy called Peter Hotez got into a bit of a back and forth because of Rogan's interview with Robert Kennedy Jr. on his podcast recently, where he is essentially a COVID-19 skeptic. Maybe people are talking conspiracy theorists, but he had some very interesting things to say about the vaccine and about everything else concerning COVID. And I would imagine nowadays, especially with how everything has kind of played out, that people would be more receptive to like the alternative point of view, because we know for the most part that we were sold down a river when it comes to COVID, when it comes to lockdown, when it comes to face masks, right? We were kind of given the impression that it was one thing when really it was all about control, it was all about compliance, and it was really wasn't about kind of doing the best for the populace or for the country overall. It was more so to kind of just to kind of line the pockets of whoever was in charge at that moment. So you would imagine nowadays people would be a little more receptive to that kind of conversation, but for some reason they're not. For some reason, still people have this weird idea about COVID and stuff that they don't really want to hear regular people online speaking about it. They just want to defer to the experts, but the experts were the ones that were compromised. Mad. Anyway. But anyway, the back and forth between Rogan and this guy called Peter Hotez reached fever pitch when allegedly, according to the Washington Post, he now says anti-vaxxers stalked him and kind of came to his house, which I think is either blown out of proportion or is another attempt at the mainstream media to try and paint Rogan fans as these, jiu-jitsu loving sycophants, that they would go to this guy's house and essentially try and accost him in front of his wife and children and stuff, which is a little bit much. But this headline, courtesy of Washington Post, is as follows: the vaccine scientist says anti-vaxxers stalked him after Joe Rogan challenge. So it says as follows: the vaccine scientist says anti-vax activists stalked him at his home on Sunday after Joe Rogan and others, including Twitter boss Elon Musk, challenged the scientist to debate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., an anti-vaccine proponent and Democrat presidential candidate, over the vaccine misinformation. So him and Peter Hotez and Joe Rogan go back and forth on Twitter. Joe Rogan propositions him and says, "Hey, I'll offer you, I think, a 100,000 to your charity of choice if you would come on my podcast and debate Robert Kennedy Jr." With no time limit regarding the COVID vaccine. And for whatever reason, this Peter Hotez guy bitched out and said he didn't want to do it. But that's essentially the kind of whole premise of the conversation. And then I think Mark Cuban also jumped in. It was a very, very bizarre conversation to have, to say the least. But essentially, it was a pretty good deal, I would say, if he was that Peter Hotez guy, if he legitimately thought Robert F. Kennedy was spreading misinformation. The fact that he's now running for president and he's had such a viral and very popular episode on Rogan, it would have been the perfect place to kind of signal boost Peter Hotez's mantra and what he's trying to preach. But for whatever reason, he doesn't want to debate people, so he kind of bitched out on that one, and now he's trying to blame Rogan fans for coming to his house, which is crazy, because I think anti-vaxxer fans aren't all Rogan fans. They probably just are a separate contingent of people. But anyway, it continues. It says Peter Hotez, a Houston-based scientist and pediatrician in global health, vaccinology, and neglected tropical disease control, spent much of the pandemic debunking misinformation spread online about COVID-19 and the vaccines targeting the coronavirus. He was also part of the Nobel Prize-nominated team of scientists who created an affordable, easy-to-make coronavirus vaccine. Hotez criticized Rogan over the weekend as an awful for hosting Kennedy, one of the country's leading anti-vaccine advocates, who has peddled false claims linking vaccines to autism on Rogan's widely popular podcast last week. Sorry, but if you're at this point, so many, couple of years since, the height of the pandemic, and you are going to get influenced by some random presidential candidate after the fact going on a show telling you about the risk involved with the vaccine, then, you're always going to be subject to somebody flipping duping you. If this is the case, the fact that you can't have even conversations, speaking about it on the other side of things and being skeptical is ridiculous, really. You don't need to believe these people. You don't need to take their advice as gospel, but saying that they can't speak or they can't have a conversation or they shouldn't be, debated and not worthy of debate is really bizarre. It continues, it says, in response, Rogan publicly challenged the vaccine scientists to debate Kennedy. In a tweet Saturday that has now been viewed more than 50 million times, Rogan said he'd give $100,000 to charity of Hotez's choice if you're willing to debate him on my show with no time limit. The then billionaire claimed that he'd give more money, and vaccine skeptics piled on. Among them was Musk, who tweeted that Hotez was afraid of public debate. But Hotez said that he was not prepared for what unfolded on Sunday when anti-vaccine activists showed up at his house to harass him, taunt and confront him about Rogan's challenge to debate Kennedy. He tweeted that he was stalked in front of my house by a couple of anti-vaxxers taunting me to debate. So a couple of rogue losers turned up at his house, and he's making it seem like the whole of the JRE subreddit was there. Sorry, in an interview on Monday, Hotez said him and his wife were returning with a cake for Father's Day. See, he's always eating shit, this guy, innit? He's proud of eating fast food, being a pediatrician and a doctor in general, and then he's also buying himself a cake for Father's Day. Like, put the cake down, put down the hot wings, and go for a run, mate. Accosted me when I was walking in my home. He said he shoved the cell phone camera in my face and asked me if I would debate RFK and Rogan. They were clearly lying in wait. He said, it's very sad. All we were trying to do is get cake for Father's Day. He added the anti-vaccine attacks usually come in waves of aggression, and this is one that as bad as been in the last 20 years. A spokesperson for Spotify, a streaming platform that hosts Rogan, said did not respond for comment, blah, 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 blah. So clearly a bit of a crazy issue. It still surprises me that COVID-19 or the vaccine in general, the pandemic, it's still like a topic of discussion for some people. I've just kind of permanently moved on from it. It was such a troubling and awful time that I've kind of, deleted it into the recesses of my brain. But there's some people that are really, really still hung up on it. And I think for Rogan, being a comedian and having his entire livelihood essentially taken away from him, despite having all the money in the world to do whatever he wanted, but still not able to do it, maybe has left some permanent scars that he's still not kind of over in the grand scheme of things. And also, like I said, it was the one time that I felt like the media was legitimately trying to cancel him when he was taking that ivermectin stuff. So maybe he still feels a little bit away about that as well. But regardless of the fact, it was fine to see Rogan go back and forth with somebody online, because you rarely, if ever, see it. So clearly that guy was pissed off. Then I went to quickly mention this rave that I went to over the weekend. I went to go see Freddy K perform over there at E1 for E1 Presents, as you can see here via the screen. E1, I felt like, have a pretty decent booking team in-house that does a good job of putting together these lineups that are very kind of Berlin friendly. I think for a lot of these people, unless you're out there in Germany or you're out there in parts of Europe, you're not going to see them play on a regular basis, but they do have a bit of a cult following. There are people that a lot of people in the scene kind of feel like are pushing the sound forward and essentially, providing a path for themselves to be part of the new legends, part of the new flipping leading pack of artists coming through. And you obviously got the likes of a veteran like a Freddy K, but people like Geyser, DJ Gigolo, Ogazón, and MCRT are definitely guys and girls that you would see on that channel called Whore over there in Berlin. That does a good job of highlighting some of the talent out there. So when they get these guys over there, I really do like it. And I do like the fact that it's just an E1 Present show, because a lot of clubs here in London, for the most part, rely on promoters to essentially bring people to the club. Maybe you have your own community, you have your own clique of people that kind of come, but the fact that the club itself takes a risk to book these people and have them play, I feel like is a really, really cool thing to see and to kind of see here when you kind of go. So the good thing about E1 as well is that it's not too far from where I live, so I can go in there and check it out. I can go down a quick little half an hour bike ride that kind of makes it easy to go and hang out and chill. I decided to pop over there, and my main goal was to see MCRT, Ogazón, Gigalo, and Freddy K. In the end, I only got to see two, which was Ogazón and Freddy K. Ogazón, I think, played, if I'm not mistaken, from about 12 to about 2. For some reason, there wasn't any set list, which is annoying. For some reason, London clubs hate to put out set lists of how long or when somebody's playing. I think the idea behind it is that they want everyone to stay and just drink and spend a lot of money, so they'd rather not let you know so that you can stay as long as possible. But it's annoying for a punter like myself who just wants to go and see DJs perform like I'm going to see a band, so I had to kind of just wait it out. But according to the splits, I'm pretty sure when I walked in, I saw Ogazón playing for a while, and then Freddy came after the fact, so I saw a bit of those two together. And then when I was in the Black studio for a little bit, I did see a little bit of DJ. No, I think I saw a little bit of Alcatraz. I didn't see anybody else when I was out there really, so that was pretty decent to go and check out. Now the plan was that I was going to go use my little new Canon Cybershot type of camera. It's a really old one from the early 2000s with like 8 megapixels on it, but the whole idea behind it was I wanted to film some footage similar to what you'd see from, like, you know, these kids nowadays who are basically filming lo-fi type of videos on old Cybershot kind of digital camera type of things. But unfortunately I forgot that the video portion of these cameras aren't the greatest, so they take pretty good pictures. They kind of remind me of the old days of, like, you know, Cobra Snake flash photography pictures, like Terry Richardson style, but the videos aren't the greatest, especially the sound. So I'm not too sure if the sound of the clip that I'm going to play you is because I put my big fat thumb over the microphone, or if the microphone itself is absolutely shoddy and wasn't picking up the sound properly. But either way, the quality isn't the greatest, but you'll get to see and feel the view of where I was when I was in the club itself. So this is a clip of, you know, a random arrangement of clips taken from the night out featuring Ogazón and Freddy K at flipping E1 in London, 17th of the 6th. It sounds muffled. It sounds a little bit like, you remember there was always that guy in your area who had like a souped up Honda Civic or something, and he put a flipping crazy subwoofer in it or something, and he'd be like boom, boom. You could barely hear the lyrics of the song. It'd just be like, it'd sound like a fucking demon. Do you know what I mean? I'm throwing up or something. This is what it kind of sounds like. So again, I don't know if this is the camera or if this is my fat thumb over the microphone, but you get a kind of gist of the overall night and me kind of being in there. I'll just scrub a little bit forward again so I can see some other bits here. I think there's a bit here that features a bit of Freddy K. Let's see if I can get that bit there. I think it might be around here. Yeah, maybe around here. Maybe around here is when Freddy K came on. I'm not too sure. Let me see. I think this is when the applause happens, isn't it? Around here. Loads of dudes, by the way. Loads of dudes. Okay, I don't think it's the mic. I don't think it's my fat thumb. I think it might be the mic, because when the bass wasn't kicking in there of the song, it sounded pretty decent. You could hear the claps. I could hear people speaking, it wasn't muffled, but as soon as the bass hits the microphone, it just goes absolutely crazy. But that's a bit of my footage I've got on there. I'm gonna leave it up there on my site anyway, regardless. But yeah, the night itself was fairly decent. Like I said, I only stayed there for a few hours. I had the ability to see a couple of those guys play. If anything, I'd say I feel like Freddy K is a little bit overrated. I feel like the legend around Freddy K has been mostly created around the stuff that he's done at Berghain, playing the closing sets there, and the fact that he seems like a really cool dude. He has his radio show that he does. He has a cool little community of people that listen to that. He engages with them really well, merch, loads of vinyl, and just seems to be a generally like a good dude, which is kind of says a lot, because a lot of the Berghain guys or the Berlin guys in general, DJ wise, can be a little bit up there on us. But the fact that he's, you know, a veteran in the game, seen everything, but still kind of has a good attitude about things is why people basically like him. But I feel like his DJ set's kind of flat to deceive sometimes. I feel like it's not as great as people have tried to make it seem as, but still enjoyed it, no, you know, without exception. But definitely the standout was this DJ called Ogazón. I had a really good time listening to her play, so I definitely would recommend you check them out if you are that way inclined. You should definitely check them out if you're that way inclined. And then I quickly went to mention this news, courtesy again of Variety, regarding the one and only Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. It looks like their Spotify deal is over. Now, again, I don't know what this means about the overall market or industry for podcasts. I said previously before, with the news that's kind of been rumbling out there that Spotify aren't going to renew Rogan's show, and there's a few other things that they've cancelled. It seems like the platforms or these digital streaming platforms have finally realized that they may be overpaid for talent. So even though Rogan probably brought a lot to them, Spotify, you know, I think they signed Rogan for like what, 300 million for like a 6-year deal, licensing only. It's still probably a little bit too much, even if he did bring a lot of people over there like myself, right? I didn't have a Spotify premium account before Rogan joined Spotify, and only got it because of him. But then now I stayed listening to the music because the Spotify podcast experience is so awful. But this particular case is interesting because it looks like their deal mostly ended because Prince Harry and Meghan Markle didn't deliver what they promised. Like, they only delivered one show, and I think it was one show once a month. But everything else they were meant to deliver in terms of a whole kind of range of shows, whatever, never really materialized. So I'm not really sure if this is because the deal wasn't good, they got lazy, they pocketed the money, it was a scam, who knows? But interesting results regardless. So it says Spotify exclusive podcast deal with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle has come to an end, with the couple having delivered just one show under the agreement. The Spotify Archwell Audio, the couple's audio podcasting shingle, said on Thursday the joint statement that they are ending their pact. Says Spotify Archwell have mutually agreed to part ways and are proud to the series they made together. According to a source familiar with the situation, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have wanted to move away from the exclusive podcast distribution to find a new home for their audio projects. I was actually surprised that they decided to jump on board and sign their exclusive deal anyway. It obviously made sense because they wanted to fucking get the money up front. But it would have been better to kind of shop their show around, or to have it, you know, signed on exclusively for different platforms and stations, as opposed to having an overall deal, you would assume. But hey, it continues. It says another source said that Spotify expected more content from Archwell, noting that the earlier 3 years after inking the pact, that they delivered only one series, essentially putting the overall deal in limbo. The show is Markle's Archetypes, in which he deconstructs the history of social stereotypes about women, which premiered on August 2022, and hit #1 on the Apple charts in multiple countries. Archwell Audio first inked to the exclusive podcast packed through the Spotify in 2020 in the deal worth more than 20 million. 20 million they got for it, and then they only delivered one show once a month. Crazy. The Wall Street Journal reported the company's mission is to produce programming that uplifts, entertains audiences around the world, as well as spotlights diverse perspectives and voices, and builds community through shared experience and narratives and values. So clearly something happened, they went amiss. I personally think they just probably overpaid for them. I wonder if this has any inkling on what's happening with streaming at the moment. I've mentioned before the SQC deal with Kick was crazy big, right? 100 million. I wonder if it's like the same thing is going to happen with those streaming platforms. They're going to find out that they most likely overpaid for some of their flipping podcast shows that they had on, which is what led to all this flipping craziness that occurred. So not surprising in the slightest, really, not surprising in the slightest, because no one else was really checking for them. It kind of is what it is. let's actually quickly check out and see what's going on. If there's flipping Louis Vuitton shows on at the moment, it shouldn't be. I'll be surprised if it is on, because you know fashion shows never start on time. As I can see here, courtesy of my screen, it shows that it's not currently on at the moment. It seems like so. Obviously, we have to wait until that kind of goes through. Let's quickly refresh the screen and see. But I'm pretty sure this is going to start very, very, very late. So anybody think it's going to start on time, you are probably mistaken. But let's see. I'm going to give the screen a quick refresh. Let's see what's happening. But I think it's going to be starting late, to be honest, because most shows never start on time, especially live stream. It just takes a while to kind of get things done and whatnot, especially being the first show. Yes, Saki is still waiting now, so we have to kind of wait and see when that eventually does come on, but we will be covering it and checking it out live in response as it comes along. Do not worry about nothing. Do not worry about nothing. So moving on from that one, let's actually check and talk about some of the stuff that's been happening since the flipping show. Most of you have probably known Pharrell obviously has taken over creative director role over there at Louis Vuitton Men's, and his first show is going to be coming up in a few minutes, so I'm going to be covering that on the channel, of course. But the hullabaloo around it has been pretty interesting to see. I for one have been very skeptical of the appointment. I thought it was a bit of an odd choice to make, especially when you consider the amount of talent that's out there, with the likes of Grace Walls-Bonner, Martin Rose names being floated around there, and plenty others. There are loads of people out there who currently are designing at very high levels who could actually fill those shoes up very easily and provide a very interesting perspective on Louis Vuitton, connect with the youth, and just be a really good person to kind of take the reins from the legend that was Virgil Abloh, right? I think that would be a really good option to do. But of course, the people that work in these companies at LVMH and stuff are usually a lot more smarter than we are. So they know, you know, what that company needs. They know what certain brands need. They know who to kind of approach for certain things. They go to certain people for certain stuff. They know who's kind of tapped in with the youth. They kind of have their finger on the pulse, right? They don't get paid the big bucks for nothing. They really do know what to deal with. So when the Pharrell appointment was made, it was so out of the blue, so out of left field, that it kind of made me think, you know what, there's probably some method to this madness. There probably is some real genius around this decision to put, you know, to hire somebody like a Pharrell Williams, because my first concern with it was that he's not really a designer in a conventional sense. Even though he co-founded Billionaire Boys Club and Ice Cream and whatever it may be, I always saw him more as a kind of tastemaker who had the ability to design the odd product here and there. You know, he's shown over the years that he can, you know, put together an extensively beautiful, you know, jewelry collection. He's done some great work in terms of sunglasses. He's done some great work in terms of capsule collections. But in terms of putting together a full runway show with, you know, 50+ looks, doing, you know, maybe 4 shows per year, all this type of stuff, I would have thought it would be very challenging for someone to do that. But then I also think back to the time of me watching a random clip of Karl Lagerfeld from before, when he was alive, RIP to a legend, where he's sitting in his studio somewhere, you know, working on stuff with Chanel, and he just sits there and sketches stuff, hands it to somebody in the atelier, and they essentially mock up a sample for him to check out and, you know, and fill in his hands. So clearly this is a thing that happens a lot in these kind of luxury houses, where they have these in-house people who work there who can essentially take your vision, take your idea, and materialize it into a real thing. So essentially, you don't actually need to have any knowledge of pattern cutting, any knowledge of sewing, any knowledge of, you know, design at all. As long as you've got cool ideas and you're willing to collaborate with your team, you can essentially put together a very coherent collection in a very short space of time. So that made me think, you know what, maybe there is some flipping information there that I should maybe be absorbing. Then I decided to read these new articles that came out of Rap Pharrell, and they really do paint an interesting picture about the guy and his approach to it. The first article is courtesy of New York Times. It says Pharrell Williams, Louis Vuitton, new Don. And in this particular article, you get the feeling that Pharrell kind of knows that he's coming into this as a somewhat of a novice, and he's purposely decided to surround himself with some really interesting and key players who are going to be essentially helping him to kind of, you know, tell the story of Louis Vuitton in a very coherent way. The first thing that was interesting about this article was that he mentioned that he originally was pushing Nigo to get the job in front of him. he actually didn't want the job. He actually assumed when Alexander Arnault was calling him that he was calling him for recommendations of who he should hire. He didn't know that he was actually calling him for him to take the job at Louis Vuitton, which is interesting because I think at the time Nigo was already at Kenzo and he's already doing a great job there, and Kenzo's already an LVMH brand, so it didn't make sense. So that was the same thing. Then I also learned that he's got the owner of a cactus plant flea market. I forgot her name. She's helping to do something there. Let's actually, yeah, there we go. So it says here that he's had this interesting quote. It said here, over the past several weeks, he's had a crash course in design, how to run a studio, how to manage a team of 40 to 50 people, and how to take criticism and work with people at the top, because, you know, it's a blend of creativity and also running a business, says Matthew Henson, who's been the personal stylist for Mr. Williams for the last couple of years. And if you're not familiar, I'm pretty sure Matthew Henson used to work with A$AP Rocky too for a bit. I'm not sure if he's still a stylist for him, so he's there. And it continues, it says Mr. Henson is also styling the show along with Cynthia Liu, Mr. Williams' former assistant, who is now the quiet powerhouse of the idiocentric streetwear and with her own brand, Cactus Plant Flea Market. So clearly, Pharrell's come into this with an idea that he needs as much help as possible to kind of put his, you know, his ideas out there on the runway, which has been quite cool to see. And I also like the idea that he's tapping into the resources they have available and essentially using the team that's already there to kind of bring his ideas to life. As the next quote says, it says, when Mr. Williams walks through the studios here, he's in awe of the specialized design teams, appears genuine. He says, presto, things get turned around so fast. I've had more resources than I've ever had in my entire life. They don't miss like that at all. None, nobody. Right. And this goes back to what I've always said before. Like, I always feel like for whatever reason, the fashion industry does a really bad job of lionizing people, of making out as if like every designer out there is like Alexander McQueen, essentially, you know, researching every single theme, cutting, drawing, you know, tailoring, whatever, sewing every little piece. But actually, what actually is kind of happening, especially at the highest levels, is that these houses have already people that could do that side of things for you. So they get the celebrity person, the person that's got their finger on the pulse, to come in and essentially lead the ship as a quintessential creative director, where they kind of have, you know, maybe the overarching theme in mind. They can maybe add some final touches, or they could just be the conductor that just makes sure everybody's in tune. But this idea that it's just a one lone kind of genius person on their own is really, really redacted, because in the fast-paced fashion industry nowadays, you kind of do need a all-star team to bring these visions to life. It continues again here. It says, there was something that he was prepared for in part by conversations he had with Virgil Abloh. It says about Pharrell Williams. After Abloh was hired for the same job in 2018, in the 3 years at the helm of Louis Vuitton Men's before his sudden death in 2021, Mr. Abloh upended the ideas about how luxury houses might function. And that story, it might be able to tell in their dialogue with those who had long been held at arm's length from luxury fashion. Just outside the atelier hangs the crucial, defining image from Miss Abloh's first ad campaign for Louis Vuitton, a black toddler draped in a Wizard of Oz themed sweater, one of Abloh's first campaign pieces. Mr. Williams recalled Mr. Abloh's awe at the scale of the efficiency of the atelier. Pharrell Williams said Virgil would always talk about how they would never say no, which they don't. So that's a responsibility not to abuse them. Mr. Williams is now second consecutive Black American in a role. He says, over here, they lift us up. They appreciate what we do. They see the talent of what we have. So that's a really cool thing about it. Is like, you know, Pharrell and Virgil had a close relationship when he was alive. So the fact that he's been given this job is a really cool little nod to that. And also the continuation of it being like a black voice behind this brand, a black cultural voice in the shape of Pharrell and what he's done in music and beyond is really incredible to see also. So I think this story definitely needed to be told, even if it is just a couple of seasons. Like if he does, you know, put out a dud, which I don't think he will. I feel like from what we've seen so far of the samples and the little kind of, you know, bits here and there, it seems like he's going for the tried and true method of putting out like staple wardrobe pieces that every man would kind of want, and then kind of giving it a Louis Vuitton sort of spin. He's not like he's trying to reinvent the wheel or anything. He's just approaching it from a consummate consumer's point of view, it kind of feels like. So I don't think he's going to be putting out a dud. But even if he does put out a dud, I think it's important just to kind of keep that legacy of that story of black voices type, you know, telling the story through the amplified platform that is Louis Vuitton. It continues here, it says here, the Arnaud family, he said, understands how crucial the black American dollar and aesthetic has been for growth and the cachet of Louis Vuitton. 100% they know it. We've had some conversations about how important the community is to them and how being supported to them is natural and a prerequisite. He said he's looking to expand the house's brand. This is what I really like about this though. He's looking to expand the brand ambassador program beyond the usual musicians and actors to black academic, black authors, black astrophysicists, and even black bass fishing champion. I love stuff like this. They have to be supportive of the culture because of the culture contributes to the bottom line, which is something that a lot of these brands don't really kind of have in mind really for some odd reason. And then another section here says a new humility. There are some things that Mr. Williams will simply not say. In public settings at least, he speaks with the deliberateness of somebody who wants no words to be misinterpreted. His sunglasses stay on. I need something for myself. Rhetorically, he returns to familiar narratives and motives. The seismic changes in his life every 10 years, the eternal quest to learning, and the continuing practice of gratitude. Pusha T says he never speaks the truth of himself, and I hate it, said Pusha T. It's my pet peeve about him. He knows he's great at things, but he wants that to walk him through the door versus him saying, hey guys, come on, let's get me through. He's kind of like the opposite of Kanye, isn't it? Kanye wants you to know the work is good, but he also wants you to hear him say he knows the work is good. Whereas, Pharrell just lets it speak for himself. Squint hard though, and you may see the faintest flickers of the mid-2000s Pharrell Williams, a more boisterous, boasty person, a whiff of the old self propped up on the video of Mr. Williams posted in late January backstage at the Kento show with Nigo when he knew he was on the verge of signing the contract. You know what rhymes with 2023? Money tree. He said into his phone camera, nodding intensely. He didn't lick his lips, but he might as well have. When the appointment was announced, Tyler created the longtime acolyte and style guru of his own right, FaceTime Mr. Williams. He just has this look that he gives me where he kind of goes, yeah, I did that. He didn't say anything, Tyler said, and then he gave me the praying hands. You gotta love Pharrell. On his 2006 mixtape, In My Mind, a dizzying display of Dissonian ostination, a peacock at the peak of his peacocking, Mr. Williams rapped, we wanted this life. We salivated it like wolves. Blow 100 grand on LV leather goods. Mr. Williams almost flinched at the memory. I was greasy on that. Now he said, I promise you I love being humble, he said, but luxury fashion is not a business built on humility, and Mr. Williams is keen to make a splash. The theme of his show, Mr. Williams said, it will be about lovers. The first inkling of this vision emerged in April at the Virginia Festival, where Williams organized something called Something in the Water, blah blah blah. But the quote that I love the best is this one. There's a quote here somewhere, right, where he's spoken about Juliet. I thought that was one of the best quotes I've heard of him say during his whole promo press tour that he's doing. Let's see if I can find it. Juliet. Is this a Juliet? How do you spell it? Is that how you spell it? Juliet. Oh no, I think it's an S. Actually, maybe Central. Let's see. There you go. Yeah. So here you go. This is the courtesy of the Vogue article, right? I thought this is the best flipping quote or interview from him. He says here, the question says as follows: But there are lovers. There are sometimes also haters. After you got appointed, a lot of people were criticizing the decision because you didn't go to fashion school. Pharrell's reply: First of all, of course, people are going to say that. I didn't go to Central St. Martin's, but I didn't go to Juilliard either to study music, and I've done all right. Understatement of the year. I've done all right. As black people on this planet, we are used to that, telling us what to do or what you cannot do. But you can't tell the universe what's going to be written. You can work with it, co-inspire and co-create, but you can't tell the universe what's going to be. So for me, it's always like, y'all are surprised? Well, I'm surprised too, but I'm going to show this to you better than I'm going to explain it to you. And that was a perfect answer to kind of, go against some of the narrative out there that he shouldn't be given a job based on his lack of experience. I would say my kind of pushback was it mostly just because of we've never actually seen him put together a full collection, less so about his actual education and going to Central St. Martin's, because I don't think for all the benefits of Central St. Martin's, I don't think actually going to Central St. Martin's to study fashion will prepare you to be the creative director of any luxury fashion house, because you're a student. You're not looking at it from a business point of view. It's no real life experience that you're kind of picking up from, learning and, how to be a good designer in flipping university. It doesn't really prepare you for the business side of being a creative director of a big luxury house somewhere, and the pressures that come with it. But if you're Pharrell and you've been playing at the front line on major stages for the majority of your life, even if you haven't been doing full collections, the pressure is nothing really foreign to you. The platform itself is something that you already kind of are familiar with, especially in terms of not sitting there designing things. All those things kind of make a lot of sense. So I could definitely understand where he's coming from with that regard. So I thought that answer was absolutely perfect. And like I've said, just checking out some little clips and so far that we've seen, we've got this amazing little bag that he's going to be featuring. I think he mentioned actually that he wants this bag to be made in loads of really bright and exuberant colors. I think the idea behind it, he was saying that how most likely they're going to be faked and they're going to be sold on Canal Street, but he would rather have Louis Vuitton make actually really good colors so that customers want to buy them. Because I think he said most of the time people buy fakes of these Louis Vuitton bags because you can't actually get bright colors or interesting colors in the shop. You can only get really boring ones. So they will go out and buy a far more cheaper bag that has the look but has a better color that kind of matches their vibe than just buy one for the retail price that's a fucking avocado green. So he's going to make these in bright colors. I love the addition of the strap on this bag because it turns it immediately into a very feminine bag, into a very easy to wear satchel type bag that can be worn by dudes. In this picture here, we've got a guy wearing a leather M65 type jacket with the camo digi print that he has now on some of his stuff. Another picture here, we have him wearing a motorbike jacket, you would call it, with some of those jeans that he likes with the kind of flared bottom. If I was being super critical, I'd say this look with the sort of like flared bottom is kind of done, kind of redundant. It may be something he should have done maybe a couple of years ago. So, but he can maybe make it right. Who knows? Let's see what happens when it goes forward. And we've got another image here again of the biker jacket that he's made, obviously for Louis Vuitton, with what I think is a print on it somewhere. Louis Vuitton labels on the zips and some of the snap buttons as well. So it's clearly he's doing something that is a bit more casual in terms of what he's approaching. I think it's going to be a lot of staples. I think we're going to see a lot of basketball jackets. I think we're going to see a lot of jerseys, a lot of denim jackets, a lot of M65s, a lot of hoodies, like staples that you would assume you'd wear in your wardrobe. We're going to see those on the runway, and as opposed to him trying to reinvent the wheel and create whole entire different shapes. I think he's going to go at it and approach it as just, okay, let me make my own version of this through the lens of Louis Vuitton. That's what I think we're going to see going forward anyway regarding his collection. So it's not going to be super expansive. The glasses he's wearing now at the moment, I think they're not even Louis Vuitton. I think they're custom ones that he maybe, I don't know if they're Chanel or something, I forgot what they are, but I remember him having them for a while. I don't think they're Louis Vuitton. Maybe I'm mistaken. They might be, but I do remember him having a similar type of glasses beforehand that he got kind of custom made by somebody else. So interested to see what happens with those going forward. And then of course we've got more detailing here again on the M65 type jacket that looks like it's been, made of the same kind of, was it the print that you would assume that you'd see on some of the other jackets that he obviously puts together. So clearly there's a concerted effort to put this shit together and make it look a certain way. That's the best thing that I do like about this. So let's see how that goes and how it kind of pushes forward. We can kind of go back here again to the interview. It says, you didn't pay for that course at fashion school, but you were pretty close to Karl Lagerfeld and you spoke a lot. Have you taken any learnings from him? He said, of course, this is the orchestra of a different sort, and you're dealing with many different sections of the orchestra, and there's loads of topography in the collection, just like there is in a composition. We just have to super dialed in into that zoom in and zoom out perspective. That's especially important for this first collection, because I'm also establishing the key components, the codes, the specific details, from the rivets to the buttons and the zippers, all the way to the sizes and big size shapes. And then you got this really great picture of him on the table somewhere talking to somebody in the team with a Richard Mille on one wrist, with a really cool design on his wedding band. It's kind of done, instead of being like a flat wedding band, it's kind of rounded, which looks really cool. And then he's also got a fucking Louis Vuitton cup holder or cup warmer, whatever it's called. And then there's also a gold straw that's obviously made from Louis Vuitton. Also, it's fucking good little flex here to see. So let's see how that kind of continues. The interview goes on. It says it's the opening track of an album, but we referred it later to a recording. Although that's probably a clumsy metaphor. He says no, it's a great metaphor. It's absolutely construct. He says, before you came through the doors in February, what was your perception of Louis Vuitton? Pharrell says, it's always been the highest regard. It was from this moment that I met Marc Jacobs in 2003, and he asked me about my sunglasses at 57th Street store, and then asked me if I wanted to make some. I was like, whoa, that's amazing. But Nigo designed these, and I'm gonna bring him as well. That was the first time someone from my ilk was trying to be inventive of saying things. Mark really opened the door, and the Arnolds were already there. Okay, fair play to him then. A lot of kinship between Nigo and flipping Pharrell as well. They've been through the mud together. It's funny because he still doesn't speak any English, Nigo, so I wonder how they communicate anyway. It continues, it says, when you were just at Nicholas Gesker, Alvin Williams show in Lego Magori, have you been talking to the counterpart at Louis Vuitton Menswear Studio? Lucas is a legend, and yes, we've kicked it here and there. So my theory was a bit different regarding the whole Nicholas Gesker thing. I was thinking, if I was Nicholas Gesker, I'd be a little bit annoyed that Pharrell's first campaign for Louis Vuitton Men's is him propping up Rihanna, who's obviously a woman, and using her as a muse when maybe she should be used for, you know, what they're doing over the Marks Mara. So she's not being used as a muse, and she's there at the show as well. So I wonder what the expressions for that's gonna come. It continues. It says, "Is your music going to be the soundtrack?" It says, "I'm not going to break it to you, but yes, we said it's all emotional. The music is very emotional. You know, something has happened in your life in the humble, so it must be like that." So I'm assuming we might even see a premiere of a new song we haven't heard before. Maybe we might hear a premiere of that new Pusha T song. It's meant to come out on Friday. Pusha T's got a song on Friday. It's meant to be coming out. It's meant to be going out all his enemies. So maybe we might hear a Pusha T song played during the show sometime later today. So let's see how that happens, and if that plays out the way it's going to play out. That might be an actual thing actually. So let's see if that is the case. It continues here again. Interview. Oh yeah, like I said, if I was Nicholas Gesker, I'll be a little bit annoyed with this because it's meant to be Louis Vuitton Men's, and then Pharrell's first campaign, he then has Rihanna, one of the most famous and fashionable women in the scene, front and center for his campaign. It feels like Pharrell's kind of stepping on Nicholas Gesker's toes, and it wouldn't surprise me if in a real Game of Thrones Succession style ploy, LVMH kind of brought him in to do this. Have his first campaign be Rihanna, and then have him slowly but surely push Gesker out, and then have Louis Vuitton be one thing under like a unified umbrella, as opposed to it being men and women. That might be a situation we might see going forward. Who knows? But that could be the case. It continues here because the show's still not on yet. I'm checking it on my phone actually, see if it's on. It still hasn't started yet. Of course, it hasn't started. It's never going to start on time. Fashion shows are always late. Continuing on with the interview. Oh no, the interview's finished here, but we've got some pictures of Pharrell here with Alexander Arnault, the son, who was formerly the head of fucking Tiffany's. No, formerly the head of Rimowa, then Tiffany's. Like, this is the height of nepotism. He's got zero source as well, but he seems to always have a good smile on his face and happy about life. So that's a good place to be. But he got to, lead fucking Rimowa for a bit. Was responsible for all those cool, amazing suitcases they did. Most memorable being the Virgil one that he did that was see-through. Then he went over to Tiffany's, did the Air Force One that was absolutely horrible. And then, just living life. So enjoy him. And there's an old picture here of Pharrell and Nigo back in the day in 2005 doing what they do best, flossed out with the jewelry and shit. I remember this fucking hoodie, the amount of fights that it created around it back in the day, the trucker hats, the fights they created. I still think to this day, no one makes better shaped trucker hats than Bape did back in the day. The shape of them was absolutely sublime. You could wear them all the way down. You could have them perched up on top of your head, wear them backwards. Like they retained their shape for a long time. doesn't get the props he deserves, nigga, for that era, man. Because if it happened nowadays, legitimately, that guy would like. He's already a legend anyway, but he'd be a far bigger legend. And maybe also, so maybe the language barrier. Maybe if he was actually able to speak English confidently, because I think he probably can be, just probably shy, like most foreign people are. It would be pretty sick to kind of see him do that. To be fair, going forward, do you know what I mean? Because he'd be a far bigger legend than he is now if that was the case. So big up Pharrell, big up Nigo. Going back again over some pictures here. You got a picture here from Pharrell when he was here in London for a bit. I forgot what he was here doing actually. I think he had a dinner with a few UK people, I remember. But maybe this what he's wearing here, this leather romper thing. Oh no, it's not a romper. It's a leather vest. Look, it looks like a leather blazer with some leather trousers. Maybe that's part of the Louis Vuitton collection also. Not really too sure. Going forward there, we got some more pictures of him. Here as well, looking great. And then I think I went to mention the thing about the bag, if I could see it here, the article about the bag. Let's see if I can find it, because I thought, yeah, there we go. So here he is. We're talking about this bag here that's featured, called the, what's it called? It's called the Speedy bag, right? So I think I mentioned it to you beforehand. This bag here that he's wearing, the Speedy bag, that's also featured in one of these little pictures that I have here somewhere. This bag here. He's talking about this on the New York Times interview. He says, or it says here, it featured a pregnant Rihanna clutching multiple Louis Vuitton Speedy bags in primary colors. One of the first playful tweaks Mr. Williams is bringing to the company's heritage. The Speedy, one of Louis Vuitton's most recognizable bag designs, dates 1930 and resembles the Doctor's bag. And I think the key word to point out here, the key word that might give us a hint of what's to come, is playful tweaks. There's no reinventing of the wheel, no going crazy and trying to create new silhouettes, new fabrication, crazy R&D. It's mostly just playful tweaks. So taking some staples of already what they do well or what's in a man's wardrobe and trying to, tell that story through the prism of what Pharrell's about and stuff. So that's what we're going to probably get. So it continues here, said, I'm creative designer from the perspective of a consumer, he said. I didn't go to St. Martin's, but I definitely went to the stores and purchased, and I know what I like. And this is my main gripe with Show Studio. When I used to watch Show Studios, live show discussions and stuff, one of the things that used to annoy me was that it always kind of came from the point of view of like real pretentious people who aren't in touch with the consumers. People who are always looking at it from a super heady designer point of view, as opposed to what consumers who actually purchase this stuff on the regular would look at it as. And I think that was one of the reasons why the Show Studio after time kind of got a bit boring to watch, because it all kind of sounded like a big echo chamber of people basically, having a bit of a fashion gossip about who did what, when really the point of it should be, hey, if I don't like what you're doing, I have to find something, an approach that you do that's pretty cool, that might help me out in terms of what I'm doing. That's what I'm thinking I might be doing. So maybe that's a thing, but who knows? But I do like this quote. This quote here is amazing. I didn't go to St. Martin's, but I definitely went to the stores and purchased, and I know what I like. And I think this is generally where this is going to go going forward. If you're a designer, you're probably better off, if you're a kid going to St. Martin's, to basically focus and do your own brand on the side as you're doing your degree at the same time, and then hope that the clout that you gain from building a successful brand from the ground up might put you in a position where you can get hired by one of these luxury houses, because it makes a lot of sense, to be completely fair. Like, you look at the stuff like Gap's doing, all that malarkey, they're probably better off trying to go and sign the likes of, but something, whatever his name is, on there, because you already come with some notoriety, as opposed to plucking some designer out of the blue from nowhere to come and carry your brand. It doesn't normally work out that way, really, for the most part. Either you're known inside the industry, or you're kind of known from being outside around the house and just chilling there. That's my only thing to say about that one. And then we continue here. What else it says? There's some conversation here about Sarah Andelman, the head of Colette, who's also a big collaborator with flipping what's his name, with Pharrell. We got 2 decades crash course conversation here about what he did to kind of get his way up there. That makes a lot of sense. Let's actually read this one. It says, almost since the beginning of his career in music, Mr. Williams had always found a way to incorporate and create fashion. In 2003, he founded Billionaire Boys Club with Nigo, perhaps his closest creative ally in style. Explaining the creative kinship between the two men, Nigo, through an interpreter, said, the first time I went to Pharrell's house in Virginia, when I looked in the wardrobe, everything was the same as that I owned. In 2003, Mr. Williams met Marc Jacobs, one of the men's creative director of Vuitton, who invited him to collaborate on a pair of sunglasses. The result, known as the Millionaires, became hip-hop's luxury staple in mid-2000s and an updated version of any of them. It continues, says, he was just so incredibly generous to give me that opportunity when nobody had ever given me an opportunity before. Mr. Williams said of Mr. Jacobs, the Millionaires were designed by Miss Williams and Nigo. There's something I didn't know though. I didn't know that the Millionaire glasses were designed by Pharrell and Nigo. I just assumed it was a Pharrell thing. So again, goes back to my clear assumption that I think why I was nervous, because I thought as if Pharrell's greatest work when it comes to Billionaire Boys Club was something that he did in close relationship with Nigo. And the moment Nigo stepped away from it and Skate Thing stopped designing the graphics, Billionaire Boys Club and Ice Cream kind of died a very, very slow death, to the point where now, if you're wearing that sort of stuff nowadays, you're definitely on a troll team, because those brands are absolutely dead out. So it's a bit of a shame to see that happening in real time. You know what I mean? It continues here, says, I thought the way forward for Louis Vuitton was to collaborate with other creatives. Mr. Jacob says, it doesn't matter to me whether they were in music or in art or in other fashion, whether it was Steven Sprouse or Takeshi Murakami or Pharrell, says Mr. Currency. Hello. But I thought those were it says that. But then when Williams arrived in Paris, Mr. Jacobs gave him vouchers to shop in the store. He says, I was very nervous. I was very nouveau riche at the time, he says, tilting his head down and offering just a timid hint of knowing smirk. Other collaborators followed: Moncler, G-Star, Moniat, Reebok, and long partnership with Adidas and assistant, and almost a decade-long affiliate with Chanel and with Mr. Williamson's close friend Karl Lagerfeld. So a lot of flipping ties connected to this, a lot of things that make a lot of sense for the appointment. So it should be fairly decent. But like I said, there's a lot of pressure on Pharrell for this, man. There's a lot of pressure. This is basically his life work. This should also kind of, prove without any reasonable doubt, can a consumer, can an avid fan of this shit be put in a position to do this? The last time we saw this happening was Kanye's first collection ever, the one he paid for in Paris. One of the criticisms I remember from the article was that, just because you love fashion doesn't mean you should be doing it. So I wonder if this is going to be the same thing. Are people going to say the same thing about Pharrell? Just because you love clothes and you're super stylish doesn't mean you can make them. The first person I think about is like Rihanna. Rihanna's had many attempts to kind of make the Fenty thing a thing, in terms of making it a show with all-inclusive people and shit. It just doesn't hit the same, unfortunately. People are probably still waiting for her to probably go back to whatever era that was. But yeah, let's see what happens about this. Let's see what goes on. And let's see if this ends up being a really good collection to check out. I'm still checking out on my phone to see if it started yet. It still hasn't started. We're now almost half an hour late. Not surprising, really. Fashion shows never, ever, 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 ever start on time. So this shouldn't be a surprise for you guys if you've checked this out before. But yeah, man, let's see what the vibe is. Let's see what happens. Let's see what goes on. I'm eager to see what the vibes are going to be like. What kind of music we're going to see, how it's going to be shot. So far, we've seen that I think it's going to be taking place on some bridge somewhere in Paris. I feel like if you're there on that bridge, if you live somewhere on either side of that bridge, you're going to be super pissed off, because you're going to have to go a real long way around to kind of get to your house and shit. So prayers to those people who are going to be affected negatively by a fashion show. But it also goes to show how connected, or how kind of, ingrained that shit is in Paris, because they approved it with no questions asked, man. Any other country, they probably would have, it would have been a big issue. We'd have to apply for that stuff ages ago, but they approved it, and everything is all there, to be fair. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when it does start. So far, again, nothing happening in there. We can't really see what the vibe is. Let's go back a little bit to the New York Times article. It says here, okay, we spoke about the crash course. He's got Mr. Henson, formerly of A$AP Rocky fame, helping him, and the lady from Cactus Plant Flower. What's it called again? I keep forgetting how it's said in the order. It's Cactus Plant Flea Market. That's it. Cynthia Lou's also helping out there. We got speak about here him and Virgil. A really cool picture of Virgil and Pharrell back in the day in 2016, which is nice. We got him talking about how humble he is, and Pusha T saying he doesn't like it. A picture of him out there again doing good. In there performing. Oh, here we go. I love this. So he says, on potential of negative criticism, Pharrell Williams said the following: I'm a student. Students learn. Mr. Henson said he didn't think Mr. Williams was expecting any grace or favor because of who he is. He's expecting even more criticism and harsh critique. Mr. Williams shrugged. It's not where my mind is. Just because I think on the side of working with master artisans, we're just literally working on the details. So clearly he's not even thinking about it. It's not in his head. He's just going to stay curious. He says here, an afternoon with Mr. Williams in creative director mode is a little bit like playing a first-person shooter. Requests pop in from unexpected directions and erratic rhythms. Just when things get calm, someone emerges from around the corner with a mood board or a vintage garment and a swatch of fabric it might be reimagined in. After being shown a hood with a novel but useful zipper, Mr. Williams nodded. I don't want anything to be just for aesthetics. Everything has to have a real function. Now, I honestly do think it's going to be a good thing to see this, because I think most of us know that Pharrell's not sitting there sketching out designs, but I think it should hopefully demystify what actually creative directors for fashion houses do, or what creative directors do in general. I think for some people, they like to laugh and pretend that they are designing when they aren't. They're just picking out colors and picking choices from options made available to them from the design team. So maybe that will open people's eyes up a bit to kind of see what the vibe is actually. It continues here. For the record, for the second day in a row, he's wearing a Mickey Mouse t-shirt made by Human Made, this time underneath a black soft leather biker jacket. His flared jeans were in the damier pattern. A tailor brought up a mock-up of a double-breasted blazer for Mr. Williams to try on. One of the designers asked if he wanted a very sartorial pocket added on the design. Sartorial, Miss Williams said. Do you follow that guy on Instagram, the Sartorialist? Yeah, big up him, OG legend from back in the day. Again, like I said, you can see some inklings of stuff that we might see on the runway here from Pharrell. You got these big snowboard boots that he likes, the flared jeans that look like gallery apartment trousers, and then you've got this blazer jacket thing that kind of looks like a Moncler type of jacket thing. So this might be stuff we might see on the runway courtesy of him. He says this: for his first collection, he's leaning heavily on the checkerboard damier print, but reworking it, in clever ways. Digital camo, or Miss Williams' parlance, camouflage. Oh, I like that, camouflage, and tweaking the colors away from the familiar brown and grays. He said every season is going to be a different colorway, likening the playfulness to the Kakashi Murakami's neon monogram print during the Jacobs era. The soles of the various shoes will be a modified damier pattern. And on the conference table were a pair of camouflage sweatsuits set aside for his parents. My dad is a player. Mr. Williams, who made waves in 2007 with his oversized purple crocodile Hermes hot Cortez bag, is most tickled by the opportunity to innovate with the Speedy, which is remaking in several primary colors and also in an exaggerated oversized silhouette. So I really like that idea, to be fair. I should check this out because I think this is going to be a very, very, very popular bag people are going to be into. So if you can see the Louis Vuitton Speedy, which people are really kind of excited about, and I think a lot of people I've seen wear it over time, it's essentially just a very small handbag that's sort of kind of worn with one strap on the outside to kind of hold it in your hand, and obviously maybe to put on your hand through. But the style that Pharrell's kind of reimagining it is that he's added this really cool strap on it, so you can essentially wear it like a kind of a side bag type of thing, and it's the perfect size as well because it's small enough to be like a little side satchel thing, and it's also big enough to carry, you know, some noise cancelling headphones, a sandwich, a book, a couple of shanks, maybe some, some pens to tag some walls on. So I think this is going to be really popular, especially if he decides to put it in all these really bright and exuberant colors, not just have it in the kind of classic, mummy brown Louis Vuitton color that we're all kind of accustomed to. So I think this speedy bag is definitely going to be a very popular thing that he's going to eventually put out there when it does eventually end up dropping. So very, very clever that he did that. Go back to the article. A yellow speedy in meltingly soft leather sat on the pool table that serves as an impromptu workspace in the atelier, almost slumping under its own very lightweight. The quote: "I want to give you the same experience that you get when you go to Canal Street, a place that has appropriated the house for decades, right? Let's reverse it. Let's get inspired by the fact that they'll make some colors that the house has never made, but then let's actually make it the finest leathers." I like that idea, right? Making those colors the finest leather, so that there'll be no, onus or to go to Canal Street to buy them unless you're legitimately broke. But still, the idea and the notion is there. So I love the idea about taking from the low and giving to the high. It also kind of goes back to, Virgil's kind of modus operandi, where he used to always say, the moment you get faked is the moment you're successful, because it shows that your designs are kind of permeating, all throughout culture, that they're kind of being picked up by people all across the board and not just kind of fashion kids. So that's a pretty cool endorsement. So I really understand what Pharrell's going with in this regard. Going back to the article here, the day before, Miss Williams had taken a moment to chat about designing a custom look for Naomi Campbell, including a zipped sports bra and a zipped miniskirt, all in a monogram leather, and debating skirt lengths. It'll work, but I don't know if it'll be easy sexy. So we may see a cameo from Naomi Campbell on the runway. That's interesting. So again, another note of maybe him slowly but surely taking over from Louis Vuitton and making Louis Vuitton show completely gender neutral in that regard. It continues here. He also surveyed a pair of ship-shaped bag options, one a steamer-like and one a bit more shorter, and picked from various trim colors and font options. This seems to be the crispiest, he said, pointing to a white trim. He held one bag in each hand and handed them over to Nigo, who stomped off down the office to mock up a model walk. What Nigo did for Williams 2 decades ago, Mr. Williams is now doing for those who grew up admiring him. Me and him have a 20-year difference in age, man. What that does for me at that age is like, oh, it's still no ceilings, he says. Tyler said, to see someone at this age with his milestones, with his resumes, to not only still survive, to not only strive for a new world, stay curious, look for something new and something to challenge himself, let his creativity bleed into something else aside from just a drum pattern, and then actually get it. He's only strived for and did it, but actually nailed it. It means so much to me. Tyler's really fucking laying it thick for fucking Pharrell, and he absolutely loves him, mate. It's really cool to see that. So, especially for Tyler in this kind of part of his kind of career, to see what Pharrell's doing. It continues here. Mr. Williams' new designs include the printed leather jerseys, rugbies, quilted denim. Like I said before, see, he's picking out all the staples. So we got rugbies, we got leathers. We got leather jerseys, rugby tops. We're gonna have varsity jackets, hoodies, jeans. Cool. Mao neck blazers and ghillie camo with Louis Vuitton cutouts. He was excited to walk to the back of the studio where the footwear designers work and go over some eccentric ideas. Miss Mary Jane's and bowling shoes, a stone encrusted snowboard boot, a design that initially scanned a soccer sneaker, but it's actually a hard bottom shoe. I ain't even gonna lie, he said. I was trying to do that as a Adidas for years. So let's see what happens anyway. We might see some big footwear collaborations down the runway. It might be quite calm and quite chill in terms of that regard. Who actually knows? Still no update on the show itself. It continues a little earlier. He's also in front of the window where he'd set up a small studio, and while fiddling with his Keystation 88, a keyboard and sound controller, he asked his engineer to cue up a new song, tentatively called Chains and Whips, that he was considering using as part of a show soundtrack. Over the fusil side of the psych rock guitar flourishes Pusha T, rapped along the pointed line in the chorus, beat the system with chains and whips. But it was made in this room, he said. We just walk around it, and looking out this window, you just see all of this. I mean, We've been waiting for 20. We beating the system, bro. He says we're beating the system. So let's see what happens. How he does beat the system. I still think there's a lot of pressure on the guy. It's not going to be plain sailing. This is essentially his life's work, essentially his modus operandi. Coming all at once here, courtesy of Louis Vuitton. So let's definitely see if that is the case, and if he's able to kind of provide a very coherent, presentation there when he does eventually put it together. Let's see. But I think it should be good. I think the question should be whether or not the third collection will be good, but the first one should be, because he's worked his entire life for this moment. Even if he didn't know he was getting a job, everything he's done before this led to this decision, led to this point. So it should be good in that case. So let's see what happens, and let's see what the deal is when that eventually does start. What you guys saying in the chat, you guys? What's the chat there, Mandem, saying here? I had an interview today with Tash. I'm right and faded. Cool. What else people saying here in the chat? What are you guys saying? What are you guys saying though? Let's scroll down a bit. Blah 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 blah. AZ nearly turned into a gay white man after trying the weed. Yeah. Weed and me don't go together, man. I wish I was a really good smoker, but I'm not. It kind of kicks my ass, and it wasn't even that strong, and I was already kind of, crying and biting my lip and going loopy, man. So weed is definitely not my type of thing, I don't think, unfortunately. I wish it was, I really do wish it was, but unfortunately it just isn't. It doesn't agree with me in the slightest, and it gives me loads and loads and loads of issues. So I kind of just have to leave that stuff alone, unfortunately. I have to just leave that shiz alone. What else we're going to talk about here quickly before the show starts? What else can I show you? Let's speak a little bit about maybe, what have I got it on here? Do I have it? Nope. Where is it? It's not on there. Nope. Yeah, I have got it. Yeah, let's go a little bit about Leaks. I did really enjoy the Elite Spring 2024 show. I feel like every season, Matthew Williams is getting better and better and better. I feel like maybe more so than now, the kind of the work that he's doing between Givenchy and Elite is very, very, very different. Oh, it's live. Okay, it's live now. It's live. Yes, it's live. Finally. Cool. Let's go. I see someone walking down. Okay, I think that's what's that guy's name? That comedian. I forgot his name. He's walking down the street. Let's see if this loads up. Come on, son. There we go. Yep. Who's he bumping into? Who's that he's bumping into? Let's see if this loads. Come on, brother. Don't kill me now, mate. You gotta be working properly. Yes. I'm gonna go to live and see if it works. Oh, he's bumping into Tyler. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Amazing. Paris looks so beautiful, doesn't it? Paris looks absolutely gorgeous. Let's see if it's load. Let's go. Oh, come on, son. Don't die on me now, son. Let's see. It should load. It should be here. Give it a moment. Let me just get rid of this fucking chat. It's not popping over the bottom too much. Oof, what's happening here? It's not happening, is it? Let me give it a little refresh. Let's give it a little refresh. Bear with me 1 second as my comp decides to load and go there. It should be good now. A little bit of a refresh there. Let's see. Hope I haven't missed too much. Come on, son. Let's appear now. Tell me what you're doing. Let's go. Okay. Let's see what the vibe is saying here.
Yeah, like artists.
There you go.
What did I sacrifice to do this? I went from nothing.
Yeah.
I wasn't even any good. It was like saying.
Oh, is it raining?
Like
People saying it's raining live.
I didn't
Okay,
even
cool.
get
There you go.
drafted.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna keep doing it. Sometimes you ain't got.
Oh, for goodness sake, what's happening here, mate? Come on. Stop being weird. Okay, cool. Let's get rid of this window there. Let's see if this loads. Oof. Bloody yo, it's overcast as fuck, isn't it? Okay. It's gonna be a fucking wet show. Let's see. Bear with me 1 second as it loads. Come on, son.
No choice.
Okay, we hear some voices here. Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for fuck's sake, man. What's happening here? Come on, do not die on me. Do not die on me, MacBook. Come on. Give me one good last stream. Come on, son. Hang in there. Chrome is laggy as hell. Laggy as hell. Let's see if I load on my phone. How far away am I on my phone? Am I bare away? Oof, yeah. There's actually people walking down the show now, man. Come on, son. Oh, for goodness sake, man. Okay, well, I see some of it already on the thing. So I'm going to have to rewind a little bit of it. I'm already seeing a couple of boots and some nice overalls and shit. It's a full orchestra. Bloody hell. Interesting model choices. Man put together an entire score, which is quite cool. Oh, there's that camo thing that he's talking about, right? That damo camo. Those cowboy boots I see. Yeah, rodeo. This 2012 thing is fighting for its life, man. It's fighting for its life. It's like it's like a character in John Wick, man. Hanging in for dear life. I like the boots. Nice bags. They kind of look like Wellingtons. Maybe a little bit like Wellingtons. Maybe I'm not mistaken. Again, the demo gold, the demo camo. I think this season I've seen a lot of blazers with shorts. Maybe is it sound? Is it another sound? Yeah, I feel like I've seen a lot of blazers with shorts and shit. Especially in Paris. Oh, I love that leather look. That's really nice. That digital camo print thing is really good. That little twist of the damier thing is really, really cool. I love that. I'm not too mad at that. Oh, there's that Mary Jane type of shoes there as well. They look like Dr. Myers. They look really ugly. I'm not too fan of that. The kilt looks pretty decent. You know, it kind of reminds you of a little bit this. It reminds me a little bit of flipping Kim Jones. I've seen a lot of the same color palettes, all the same cuts. Bomber jackets, blazers, suit jackets. Oh, who's that? Interesting costume. Oh, look at the sound. That sounds like Pharrell, innit? Beautiful. Yeah, I'm not feeling the Mary Jane Dr. Oh, I love that beanie. The beanie is hard. A really thick beanie with Louis Vuitton on the side of it. That looks really good. I don't like the Mary Janes though. The Mary Janes I do not like. I like the look of those pants. That bag is exquisite with the pearl looking strap. That's a beret looking type thing. I love the look of that. Yeah, they took over the entire bridge and it's maddening, isn't it? That jacket looks like an M65. I really like the look of that with the sunglasses. Not too shabs. It's absolutely rammed in at the show. Busy as fuck. Oh, look at that bag as well. Lovely. Yeah, the boots look really good. I think there's a few people making those type of boots. They look like Red Wing engineer boots. Really big, sort of like, you know, coming up just underneath your, your knee. There's some fluffy, Oh, look at those little sandals. They look like bare feet. They look really cool. They're gonna be very popular, I imagine. Scarves and nice big trousers. There's a cart there with trunks. The bomber jacket look there. Oh, that looks very good. I'm surprised there's not a lot of splashes of colors. All of it is kind of like browny and greeny, isn't it? I'm surprised. I thought he would be a little bit more loud with the colors and shit. It all kind of feels a little bit it's giving what you call it? It's giving safari. Urban safari. Nice little trunks, nice little fleeces. That print is definitely the genius part of it. That Digi Damir Camry type print is definitely the genius move. He absolutely smashed it with that, for sure. And some of the bags look really well done. He definitely got it right there because, you know, they sell a lot more bags than they do probably ready to wear anyway. So if you can add to those sales, you have a job for life, mate. Oh, look at that denim look. That's hard. I would wear the fuck out of that look. Oh God almighty, that is me all day long. I love that as well. Look at that bag. Oh, the yellow and brown check mark with those boots and that jacket. Yes, please. There's some sneakers there. Oh no, they look like bowling shoes. Interesting. That's like a football rugby jersey. I like the look of that. It looks like it's made out of leather or something. Not mad at that in the slightest, to be completely fair. Maybe not the most, you know, not a lot of ventilation on that one, but who gives a shit? Is the show going to end now? Because there's people walking out. Who's walking out? Is that a choir? Oh, look at that look. I love that with the yellow glasses. Who are those people walking out? That people in white. Are they going to start dancing or something? Hope they don't start crumping and doing their shit. Please, no crumping, please. There's a whole group of, oh, look at that yellow checkboard. That yellow checkboard pattern is one of my favorites so far I've seen. With the bag and the hat. Oh, that looks so good. Look at that. That beanie is definitely a win. That beanie looks thick. Looks like a fucking balaclava. I'm all for that beanie. That beanie looks hard as hell. You know what I would do if I was there? I'd cut a little bit of that flooring. That floor looks like a Damir print as well. I'd cut some of that floor and take it away with me. You'll probably sell a bit of that on eBay for a bit of money. That flooring. Oh, look at that suit. Bumbarotted. Some of the two pieces are really good. The suiting, whatever it's called. Wow, look at that. Great use of color. So it kind of started off being all kind of neutral. Then all the color comes with the prints. Okay, and more of those kind of bowling shoes there featured. Oh wow, you got someone's uncle walking the show. He looks really good. Swaggy. The soundtrack is really good as well, obviously. Classic. Yeah, Pusha T. Oh wow, is that thingy magic? Yeah, Pusha T and his brother, right? Is that fucking Malice? It's like Malice. Yo, this is kind of hard. I'm not gonna lie, this is really good. He smashed it. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's Jay-Z and Beyonce chilling, doing their thing. Oh, I will close your heaven for the hell of it. You think it be valor amongst veterans? Nice black and white checkerboard. I like that too. We all in a room, but here's the elephant. You chasing a feature out of your element, and those lab diamonds under inspection. The question marks block your blessings. Oh, look at that lover's bomber. That's really good. I know by now you get the message. Uncle said, nigga, you must be sick. Wow, the kilt look is really good. Massive fur. That looks so awesome. It don't take much to put two and two. Your lucky streak is now losing you. Money's dried up like a cuticle. You're gasping for air now. It's beautiful. Yeah, Pusha snapping on this track. That's my usual. Mamas is falling out Oh, look at those glasses coming up behind him. Kind of look like those old school Oakleys. Look at those glasses. Oh wow, look at that. Love the look of those. Look at Dennis Rodman Oakleys. Nice a bit of suing here. You can see it's definitely a Pharrell collection because all the little trinkets. There's little key rings and belts and little things that he'd wear. Those little teddy bear slippers are going to be super popular as well. I predict this. The Mary Jane shoes are fucking, that's a choice to be fair. I had to see them IRL, but double soled Mary Jane shoes, that is a real risky one, that one. Look at the berets. Wow. Okay, there's a choir. Black people love choirs at fashion shows, isn't it? Like, fucking hell. I'm just happy it's not Sunday service choir because they're fucking terrible. All those kids screaming fucking gospel songs, singing it like house songs, allow it. But yeah, this deal thing is good. Some of the styling on this is really done amazingly well, to be fair. Oh, look at that. That jacket without the lapels is amazing. Oh, reflective. Fucking no, this Pharrell stuff. God damn. Nah, this is hard. The song is hard. As a little styling nod, what I do like about the Mary Janes is the little socks. I think those socks, the idea behind having those socks is amazing. I think they're saying joy, 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 joy. Joy, joy, joy. Oh, that white look is amazing. They're having a full fashion show on a fucking bridge in the middle of Paris. Oh, this is hard. This show is fucking hard, I'm not gonna lie. Some of the jackets look so hard. I like look at them. Jesus Christus.
Situations can make them much brighter. Yeah.
Who's that?
If your spirit's way down, he can make them much lighter.
It's not Beyonce, is it? Who is that?
You just taking off. You can go higher.
Okay, it's not Beyonce. What's that? Cool.
Now let the joyful water fill your eyes.
This is beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. Really good. Toilet saying it's Lizzo. Lols. Oh, there we go. Here we go. Full gospel. They're gonna baptize Anna Wintour. They're gonna baptize Anna Wintour, bro. So telling her, stop running out all the black people from your company, man. Baptize her, make her born again, man. Give the blacks a chance out here, Anna Wintour. You need Christ in your life. This is pretty sick, man. This is hard, man. This is hard. I'd be skipping down that fucking runway. Doing my gospel skank if I was there. Yeah, it's fucking hard, man. Styling is on point. Everyone looks flipping amazing. If that's me, I'd jump off the bridge straight away. Just get baptized in that fucking murky Parisian water, man. I don't like men anymore. I like women. women. Yeah, I like me like it. Is it available on Vogue yet? I don't think so, right? This is available on Vogue. I don't think it's available just yet. It's so hard, man. Oh, he smashed it. Yep, well done, Pharrell. Big cheers from the crowd as well. You don't really see that too often in fashion shows. People are cheering, making noise. Fashion shows are like techno clubs. They don't like you making noise and whistling. It's looked down upon. But everyone's whistling and screaming on this one. Nice. Kanye's probably somewhere thinking they're saying, Jew. Kanye's having palpitations. Bless Kanye. So you think, what the fuck's Pharrell doing, man? Jew. That beat is crazy. Boom. Now this is a fucking solid debut, to be fair. A lot more expansive than I thought it would be. Loads of really good little twists on little edits and stuff, like tweaks on staple pieces that we all kind of know and love. Silhouettes, bomber jackets, M65s, trenches, hoodies. Actually, did I see a couple of hoodies? I'm not sure if I did see hoodies, actually. Maybe I'm mistaken. Good little t-shirts. The Mary Janes are the only things that kind of like leave me a bit sussy. I'm seeing these Mary Janes and I'm like, whoa, I'm not too sure if I could pull off some Mary Janes and some white pop socks. They look a little bit too much, but the rest of it looks fucking fire, I'm not gonna lie. And the show itself, presentation wise, magnificent, superb. No way, Vinyaka, man. What? Kid Super Collection cleans this entire debut? Nah, you're bugging, man. Kid Super is fucking trash, mate. How that guy ever won the LVMH prize, I'll never fucking know, man. Kid Super's fucking awful. No way. This washes him. Pharrell coming out. Oh, look, Pharrell looking great in the suit as well. Top boy. Pharrell smashes this for sure. Is he gonna cry? Don't cry. It's a walk in the park. Do it again next one, man. Come back again. Never good as your last collection. But he smashed it, man. Well done, man. All that pressure on his shoulders and he delivered on the biggest stage. Big up. He's pointing to God. He's saying only he can do it. Only God could do that for him. Looking at his wife and stuff and family. Love. He's going to cry in it. Pharrell's going to cry. He looks very emotional. Oh, look at Pharrell running. You run. Pharrell can't run. But he's the top boy. Yeah, big up P-Dog. He smashed it, man. Still some of that floor. Somebody. Yeah, he's crying, innit? Is he crying? Oh, his family. That's so sweet. Look, his whole family came out. Rocket and all them man them, yeah? That's cool. Yes, P-Dog. He looks great, man. He's the only guy I think in celebrity culture who hasn't changed his waist size in his whole entire life, innit? He probably wears the same pants he wore when he was 19. Big up P-Dog. People coming out from the back, the whole team, I guess, studio. That's a nice touch. That's a really nice touch, actually. It's a team game, no lionization. Everybody play their role. That's really cool. Love to see this, to be honest. Nah, Vinyaka, man, I think you're bugging. Your Kid Super collection was awful. It was like a bad copy of like Virgil stuff, really. He didn't really, if anything, I feel like Kid Super did himself a disservice when he got the gig at Louis Vuitton for that one season. He should have went in and shown what he could do. He just made a poor copy of what Virgil did, in my opinion. If you didn't know it was a Kid Super collection, you would think Virgil designed it. It wasn't great at all in the slightest, in my humble opinion. But yeah, you know, fashion's subjective. It's all art and stuff, so I get what you mean. So maybe you might be right, but for me, I thought the Kid Super collection was absolutely trash. It came and went. No one cares about it. No one cares about him. So that kind of says everything you need to know, innit? But maybe I might be wrong. You never know. It's funny, isn't it, how multicultural the runway is, but then the people that work behind the scenes in fashion, it's just white, isn't it? It's just observation. Doesn't really matter, but it's just funny to see. The runway is a lot more multicultural than the actual people that work behind the scenes, you know? But Pharrell still did the best thing, though. Well done, man. First collection for a novice person. He smashed it. Well done, brother. Absolutely smashed it. Absolutely killed it. Let's not lie. He absolutely killed it, man. He absolutely killed it. He absolutely killed it. It was Rocky. Oh, Rocky's wearing the new clothing as well in the crowd. Looks great, to be fair. Rocky's already wearing it. And it looks great on him. See? It looks great on him already. That hat is a win. I told you about that hat, didn't I? I told you about that hat. Who's performing now? Someone performing? Oh, no. Oh, my God. That's amazing. Oh, my God. Yo, big up Pharrell, man. Guy fucking killed it. He absolutely killed it. So I'm waiting to see what the pictures are gonna look like on fucking Vogue.com. But yeah, big up him. He smashed it. Let's get us off the screen for now. Let's see what the poll is saying. Let's make a poll here and say, did Pharrell smash it? Yes or no? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Did Pharrell smash his Louis Vuitton? Oops, let's do it again. Debut. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let me know in the flipping poll here. Yes, no, or ask Jay. You know the deal. You know the deal. You know, one question, 3 answers. Let it be known. Let it be known. What do you think happened there? Who smashed it? Who did it? Who did it the best? But yeah, I think he killed it personally. I think he absolutely killed it. I think he absolutely showed and reminded people just how much power he actually has, how good he is at the things that he does. And clearly the people at LVMH know what they're doing, innit? They picked him out of nowhere. He was the kind of unexpected choice, and he absolutely showed why they picked him. Finger on the pulse, knows exactly what he's doing. Consummate, all-star, world, you know, champion in consumerism. He's been buying that shit for years and years and years. High taste level, and clearly has shown it on the fucking runway. So all my doubts and stuff have been completely removed, because I was like, oh, he hasn't ever designed a collection with more than 60 plus looks. He's only done collaborations and t-shirts. He doesn't know what he's doing. Clearly he does. Clearly he does. Clearly, he knows exactly what he's doing, and he absolutely showed it on that runway, mate. I was completely wrong. I had no idea what I was talking about, man. Bloody hell. I got that one completely right. Honestly, I definitely got that one completely. So I got that one completely wrong. I didn't get it right. But I just saw this, right? I just saw this. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this up on here. Because this is fucking fascinating. Let me see if this is right. I'm not sure if this is a troll or if this might be somebody that's trying to pretend to be this guy, but I just literally saw this on my timeline and I fucking have to share this with you guys. I have to. Bear me 1 second as it loads on here because I think this is absolutely hilarious. But yeah, big up Pharrell. Let's see if it's not uploaded yet on Vogue.com, is it? No, not yet. It's probably gonna come up soon, but yeah. It's looking fucking meaty. Let's say that, to be honest. It's looking absolutely meaty. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Rodeo. LV took the risk and they won big time. To be fair, anyway, maybe there wasn't a lot of risk if you think about it, because Pharrell's kind of been at the beginning of the streetwear movement as a consumer, right? He was around Bape when it kind of first was popping in Europe and North America. You know, he's been around long enough where he should have absorbed a lot through osmosis, that he should be able to put together a decent collection with help. Like, if he couldn't have done it, it would say more about him than it does about Louis Vuitton. It's quite hard not to be able to put together a coherent collection. But what Pharrell did today is that he smashed it. I think he would have always put together a fairly decent collection, but he went above and beyond even my lofty expectations for him, to be fair. But yeah, LVMH know what they're doing, to be fair. Those biggies over there. But look at this. Have you seen this? Again, I'm not sure if this is true. This could be a troll. But have you heard of those guys that gone missing in that submarine called the Titanic, which is a really awfully named fucking submarine? But look at this post, courtesy of Pop Crave. Stepson of missing billionaire on the Titanic submarine shared that he attended a Blink 182 concert. It might be distasteful being here, but my family would have wanted me to be at this Blink 182 show. So his dad is currently at the bottom of the ocean somewhere. Got enough oxygen to last him until Thursday. Most likely will die if he's not found within the next few hours. And his son, instead of worrying, staying up late at night, doing everything he can to help, he's out here attending a Blink 182 concert. And then he's speaking as if his parents are dead. He's speaking as if he's already dead. Oh, he would have wanted me to come and go to the show anyway. Yo, some white people out here are fucking crazy. This is what nepotism does to you, isn't it? This is what growing up in wealth does. You become a little bit desensitized. You're not exactly like, because this guy's an adult, but you kind of got a bit of an adolescent mind when you grow up with like extreme levels of wealth. You're not really well adjusted. That's the only issue. It must be hard to grow up well adjusted when you've got money, but this is a manifestation of it. Your dad's literally in a fucking submarine somewhere, and you decide that a Blink 182 concert of all is the most important place to be. Like, this is ridiculous. And again, I'm hoping it's a troll, hoping somebody just made a profile pretending to be him, and it's not actually real. But this is fucking wild. It might be distasteful to be here, but my family would want me to be at this Blink 182 show. And that's his stepdad. That's the son in a pair of Jordans and his glasses hanging there at the show. This is fucking wild. Your dad's got enough oxygen to last until fucking Thursday. Like, and you're worried about a Blink 182 show. Wow. Okay. Fair play, man. Fair play. Fair play. We all have different relationship with our parents, I guess, isn't it? But I don't know, man. This is literally life or death. And here you are thinking the show's a better place to be at. I guess, man. I guess. To be fair, any billionaire, like, that's another thing as well that you don't realize. Like, when you've got that kind of money, the stuff that you do for hobbies or in your free time is a bit strange, isn't it? Going into a submarine, it looks like that, as a billionaire, is really a strange thing to do with the money and resources that you have. Why would you even be in it in the first place? Of all the things that you could do, like, I'd rather go on like a nice yacht, you know, a kayak or something, but a fucking submarine, it looks like a shoebox. It's not the place that I'd want to be spending any considerable time personally. But yeah, like, you know, yeah, exactly. Jared Miller, like, 5 people, no toilet. I did see a picture someone showed. There was a toilet in there. It's kind of small. And it, there's no door. You just have to kind of, squat and have people turn around as you fucking unload your bowels inside of there. But yeah, not the greatest. I'm not going to lie. Not the greatest. Not the greatest. So let's see Wagwan anyway. What people saying in the replies. It's a win-win for him. That's why. It's like nigga said, ain't no point in me being sad too. Exactly. He had a plan. He just needed a platform. Yeah, my dad's missing, but let me go listen to music. LOL. The stepson singing this at Blink-182 show. Where are you? His mum, where are you? How is this populated? Oh, it's 38 hours until he gets that bag. He truly won. Exactly. I hope they find a submarine. But did he fall in love with a girl at the rock show? Jackpot. Oh, that's fucking horrible. Oh, that's fucking hilarious, man. This kid is maybe one of the awfulest kids ever, right? Really and truly. Because you have to think about it. That's his stepdad, all right? So that's a dad that's come into the picture after the fact, who's kind of raised you, and you kind of won the lottery, right? Imagine if your dad was like a regular dude who cheated on your mom or just beat your mom or something, and then her next dude happens to be some fucking billionaire guy. You luck out. He takes you in as his own. He brings you into the businesses. He pays for your schooling. He legitimately treats you like you're his actual son. And the way you actually thank him is not by worrying for him and doing everything in your power to make sure that he's getting rescued, and you're there at the Coast Guard place waiting for the phone call to come in if they find him. You're doing everything possible. You're even hiring a boat to do it yourself, whatever. Instead, what he's doing with the hours that are available to his dad while he's still in there is being at a fucking Blink-182 concert. That's the real tragedy of it. Because if it was just a billionaire son, it would make a lot of sense, because some billionaire sons or some billionaire kids have a lot of apathy towards their parents because they feel like their parents kind of, gave them, kind of cursed them with the wealth that they've kind of been born into. It kind of didn't allow them to grow well adjusted. But this kid, happened to cross paths with this billionaire guy way later in his life. He got brought in. He treated him like one of his own. And the way he thanks him is this. He's so real. Oh, fucking hell. What a crazy guy. What's his name anyway? Brian what? Brian Tazs. Jesus Christ, mate. This may be distasteful. Yeah, you think so? You think it's distasteful, mate? You think so? I think it's incredibly distasteful. Not just a little bit, incredibly distasteful. Let's see if anyone's got any more info on Brian. What's his name? Brian Tazs. S-Z-A. Is it S-Z-A? S-Z? S-Z-A. S-Z-A-S-Z. See if anyone got any more information on this dude. Because this is fucking heinous, man. He's just at this Blink-182 show, eating popcorn, having hot dogs, buying merch, just chilling. Yeah, okay. Thoughts and prayers for my stepfather, Hamish Harding, as his submarine has gone missing. One of Pakistan's richest businessmen's on there. God almighty, mate. Brian Victor Tazs. Oh yeah, this is it. Cool. This is another one. So let's see this. What's this? Someone took a screenshot. I guess it's from his Facebook account, right? It's just like a Facebook post. This kid's been on Facebook updating shit, but not out there in the field helping his dad. Absolute savage of a guy, man. Fucking hell. Hamish, my stepdad is lost in the submarine. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. Your stepdad's in a submarine at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Thoughts and prayers. Oh, mate, this son is the worst. Thoughts and prayers. And then the next one. It might be distasteful, but my family would want me to be at this Blink-182 show as it's my favorite band and music helps me in difficult times. Music helps me. This kid's such a piece of shit. Oh, music helps me. Yo, this kid is an epic piece of shit. Fucking hell. Billionaire Michelin stepson. Redheads are all her heart. Let's pick up Natasha. Fucking hell. Okay, cool. I guess it was it. He's making threats towards females. The male subject Brian Sazer, who made threats on Twitter towards females and towards those attending the trilogy and exorcism event last few days, has been taken to custody by the San Diego. Okay, I don't know what that is about. It's 2021. But yeah, okay, cool. He's out there having concerts while his dad's fucking missing. Absolutely wild boy, man. This kid doesn't give a single fuck. Anyway, let's see if we can see the final pictures of the runway show from Louis Vuitton. I'm gonna quickly end this little live stream podcast now. Let's see if we got any pictures of it. Okay, have we got the full yet, or is it still publishing? It's there already. Louis Vuitton Mange. Let's see what the vibe is saying here. Get a quick overview of what it looked like again, because from what I saw, it looked absolutely fantastic, man. He absolutely smashed it, Pharrell. Definitely smashed it for sure. Let's see. I'm seeing pictures of Beyonce and Jay-Z walking to the runway too. It's funny. Everyone's screaming her name. Beyonce doing that thing where she pretends like she's blind and she doesn't want to look at people. She kind of does that scan thing as well. I fucking love when she does that. Oh. Oh, fucking hell. Thoughts and prayers, you know. Thoughts and fucking prayers. Gotta love the thoughts and prayers. Okay, is it gonna load? Is it gonna show me it? Come on, son. Let's see if this loads. What we're saying here. Oh, we got some of the looks, not all of them though, but we got some already. You got 18 so far, but yeah. When it started, I was a little bit miffed because of color palette and stuff. Very muted, loads of greens, loads of browns. But then as it continued on, it got really hard towards the end. Like this is this look is really good. This look here, look number 17. This shiny, whatever this print is, those shorts, the model itself, the casting, absolutely 10 points. The boots are great. Some of the derby shoes, look at that. Incredibly well done. Oh, it's looping. Oh no, not again. Sounds like a nightmare. Okay, stop that. Not again, please. Fucking hell, I saw like I was getting attacked. Okay, that look there's one of my favorites as well. Yeah, the one that's gonna be the riskiest to take is this. Those Mary Janes with the pop socks. That's a choice. Although I do see Pharrell wearing it. I see Tyler doing this. I envision Tyler wearing this. To be fair, it's gonna be interesting to see. Oh, you know what we might see actually? We might see some first pictures of Tyler and Rocky together with Rihanna. I don't think we've seen any pictures of Tyler meeting Rihanna. I don't know if she's ever met her before. He probably has met her behind the scenes, but we haven't ever seen pictures of Rocky and Tyler and Rihanna together. So it'd be funny to see them two together. See if Tyler's got like a jealous look on his face because Rihanna took away his boy. But yeah, we're gonna see that hopefully soon. When the pictures come out of them hanging around. Yeah, that M65 type jacket there, look, number 11 looks fucking flame. So just number 12. Number 9 looks really cool. That woolly hat is a win. The shape of it is so hard. The jacket is really good. Love the tie, that trunk, those boots with the contrast stitching. I'm a sucker for contrast stitching, so this is obviously me. I'm all over those. Boots again. That digi camo is ridiculously hard. That cup is going to be in production, which is cool. Oof, look at that bomber jacket with the hood. Oh, that's a tough look with those shorts. That kilt look is amazing with the little chain at the bottom. This is really, really good, to be fair, man. He's really smashed it. I forgot this model's name. She's famous. I forgot her name, but she looks great here. Good little hardware pieces. Great boots. So far, no crazy designer collections in shoes and stuff. So interesting to see what happens. What he does, Pharrell. Will he try and have, because I don't think Pharrell's ever done a Nike collab, innit? He's always Adidas. So I wonder if working with Louis Vuitton, because it's something different, will he have to take Adidas on board and do that, or can he do Nike or something else? I wonder what's happening with that stuff. Or maybe he'll just go completely different and do, like, you know, Solomon's or something, or Hookahs instead. I wonder what he's gonna do, or Hoke Ones. Let's see what happens. But yeah, so far so flipping good. I love everything here so far. I think the second half of the show is definitely my favorite though. The colors on here aren't the greatest for me, but I think the second half of the show, which is definitely hasn't uploaded just yet, but this is great. So look at the detailing here with this little pearl extension and the strap here. That looks great. I'm a big fan of all of this, to be fair. And those slippers with the bare feet at the bottom, I think Rocky's wearing them actually in one of the flipping looks. They look really good as well. These are going to be really, really popular, to be fair. These are going to be really popular. What's that Vidyaka saying? Get your taste level up. Yeah, fair play. It's all opinions, my friend, isn't it? Like, no one's taste is better than the other. So if you don't like this and you prefer what's his face, you prefer Kid Super, then you know that's all good, my friend. As long as you wear it and it makes you happy, makes you feel confident and feel 7 feet tall, that's all that matters, really. To be fair, it doesn't really matter. You know, there is no good or bad. Whatever you like and what vibes of you is the best out there. But yeah, great collection so far. I love all of it. All of it looks flipping good. Really, really like it. Really, really unique vision, personally. Doesn't look like a copy of Virgil, in my opinion. It looks like his own type of narrative. I thought the first half was giving a little bit too much Kim Jones in terms of kind of, you know, a little bit blandest looking wise, but I think the second half of the show definitely popped, which again is a good, because usually you'd imagine the first half would be the hardest and it kind of tails off, but I felt the second half of the show really got strong as it continued. The styling was really on point. Everything looked great on everybody, fit wise, drop wise, look comfy and shit. The boots look great, color palette was great, and shapes and stuff, and great little staples, twists and stuff and tweaks here and there. So I'm eager to see what happens. But like I said, I think those Mary Janes are going to be the one that's going to be divide a lot of people. But I could definitely see Tyler wearing this entire look, maybe without the shirt. I could definitely see him wearing this with a t-shirt and that beret and those fucking high shorts and those pop socks and Mary Janes. They're definitely going to be funny to see who's going to be able to rock them and make them work. But I envision these slippers to be very, very popular here in look number 15. They're definitely going to be very popular with people. They're going to be all over them. These little Louis Vuitton slippers with the bare feet at the bottom. So check those out if you haven't already. Check those out if you haven't already. Anyway, that is it for now. I'm going to wait for the show to load properly. Now I'm going to do a proper review of the show and break it down later on in another episode of the pod. But for now, thank you for tuning in to the AgostinhoZinga Show, episode number 686. It's been a pleasure to have your company and see how great this flipping collection was, courtesy of Pharrell. He absolutely smashed it and really did deliver a really amazing collection so far. So big up him for defying the odds. Big up him for defying the odds. Anyway, that's been it for so far. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you've watched it and you've enjoyed it, please make sure you smash the like button down below. That'd be greatly appreciated. And I'll see all you guys again very, very soon. Take care. Be safe, chat. Peace.